Welcome back to what's going to be the last video of Module 9. This is Part 2 of Lesson 6, where we continue our study of volume and surface area of composite figures. We're on example 2 right now, where we have a gift box from a stuffed animal store, and it has the dimensions that are shown in the image. And it wants to know what's going to be the surface area of the gift box. Now this image is one that works pretty good for us because we can see all the sides through the sides. So I'm not going to make a net of it. Instead, we're just going to take our photo of it right here, and we're going to paste it in to our worksheet, and then we're going to work it from there. Now if you look at this figure, we have got two different shapes we're working with. We have a cube, and we know it's a cube because all of the side lengths are going to be the same here, here, and here. And we also have a triangular pyramid that you see right here. Now on the cube, you only care about 5 of the 6 sides, because this side, this is the kind of the top in there, it's actually hollow. There's no side there. So we're going to find the area of a rectangle or a cube, or excuse me, of a square. So let's just do the side squared formula because they are square bases. And there we're going to have area is equal to 8 1/2 in parentheses, all squared, which means area is equal to 2 times 8 is 16 plus 1 is 17 over 2, all squared. And now I can say that area is equal to, well, 17 times 17, that one is not coming to me off the top of my head. 17, and we have squared, is 289 divided by 2, and we're just going to leave it there as an improper fraction right now. Now we've got 5 of those, so to find the surface area of the cube part of it, I'm going to take that number and multiply it times 5. Remember, we're not doing the top portion, we're only doing the 4 sides in the base. So 5 times 289 over 2, make that an improper fraction as well. Nothing's going to simplify, and when we multiply that out, we'll just go ahead and use a calculator. Times 5 equals 1,445 over 2. And once again, we're just going to leave that as an improper fraction for right now as we dive into the next part, which is going to be to find the area, surface area of the triangular pyramid. Now just like the cube, we only care about the 4 sides. This base of our triangle that I just circled in red, we don't care about that at all because that is not there. It's a hollow spot inside our composite figure. All we need to do is find the area of the triangle pieces. So the formula for area of a triangle is going to be base times height divided by 2. Let me make that a little bit thinner so it's not so overbearing on y'all. That means, whoops, it didn't take. Let's try that again. Area is going to equal to the base of the triangle. That's this length right here. That's going to be the same as this length like here. So it's going to be 8 1/2. And you know what? I'm using fractions, so instead let's use a fraction version that says 1/2 times base times height, which means I'm going to erase this real quick. I'm going to throw in my 1/2 first times the base we said is going to be 8 1/2 times the height. That's this distance right here, which is 16 5/8. We'll make our mixed numbers into improper fractions. 1/2 times the 17 over 2 we found earlier times 8 times 16, that's going to be 80, plus 48 is going to be 128, plus 5 is going to be 133 over 8. And I'm just going to double check that mental math I did there. So I'm going to take and do 8 times 16 equals plus 5 equals, yep, 133. I'm good. Now I'm going to look for, is anything going to simplify? And it's not. So I can take and multiply across the top, where I've got 1 times 17 is 17, and 17 times 133 is going to be 2,261 over 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 8 is going to be 32. Now we're going to circle that. Once again, it's not the answer, but it is an important sub-answer. Now we need to say how many of those triangles do we have? We have 4 of them. So I'm going to do 4 times the 2261 over 32. I'm going to simplify and multiply, which means that 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 32 8 times, and now I've got a little bit better number to work with. Not much. It's going to be 2261 over 8 is going to be the surface area of my triangle pieces. And now we are on the final stages of this problem where we're going to be adding up our pieces parts. So let's take and get a green pen here. Actually, no, let's do the blue pen because we had started out with the blue, which was a 289 over 2 was actually, nope, my bad, it's wrong. It's a 414 up there, so it's going to be the 1445 over 2 that we came up with for the area of the base part, the cube, the surface area of it, plus, and then I'm going to put in the red here, the 2261 over 8 that we came up with for the surface area of the triangular pieces. Find our least common denominator, which is going to be 8. So something over 8 here and something over 8 here. 2 goes into 8 4 times, and 4 times 1445. We're going to take and do 4 times 1445 equals 5780. 5780. And of course, from here, this 2261 is going to come straight down. Now we're going to add those two numbers together. Plus 2261 equals, and we're going to get 8041 divided by 8, and that one we still need to divide out. Now that's going to be pretty easy to divide out by hand, so let's take and just come off to the side here and do that. 8041 divided by 8. 8 goes into 8 one times, which is 8 with nothing left over. Bring down your 0. 8 goes into 0 0 times. Bring down your 4. 8 goes into 4 0 times. And bring down your 1. 8 goes into 41. That's going to be 5 times, which is 40 with 1 left over. So if I did all my math correctly, we're going to have 1005 and 1 over 8 for our final answer. Let's check it, see if we're right. Jump back to the textbook page, see what they did. They took and bumbadita-dita. Let's go here, give it time to load. How many squares did we need? We needed 5 squares. We needed 4 triangles. Those two parts are correct. Next, we're going to take and say, well, they found, let's see here. The 5 squares ended up being, what did I say for my squares? 1445 over 2. So let's see if that part came out right. 1445 over 2. Accept and check. And I'm curious what they came up with there. That concerns me. The total area of the 5 squares. Let me check on that. Hold on. I found my mistake. Going way back in our Wayback Machine to the very first problem we worked, my mistake is right there. I squared the 17, but I did not square the 2. That means this number should have been 4, which means that I should have had a 4 right here and a 4 right here as well. And if I did that, that's going to change everything. So now I would have had a 4 right here, and this value would have ended up being half of that. So let's take and just see if we can fix this. 5780 divided by 2 is now going to be, get rid of that, it should be, let's erase that and do it properly here. So I'm going to erase it, and it's going to be 2890. So now I'm going to put a 2890 in it. And if I divided 2890 by 8, divided by 8, then I'm going to get the same 361 1/4 that they got right here. Now the triangular faces equaled, let's see if we got that part right at least. We said 2,261 over 8. So let's see if they're going to give us that. 2,000. Oh, they're going to want it as a mixed number though, for what they're checking. So let's go. We're just going to skip that part. I don't care about you seeing it as a mixed number. It's silly to make it that. Instead, let's just move on and see if we get the final answer correct now. So now I'm going to have to change some things. Hold on one more time as I take and fix this part, where I'm going to take and do some erasing here, and I'm going to do some erasing here, and all of this right here, it's got to go away too as I fix the remainder of this problem. So bring up my calculator. I now have 2,890 plus 2,261. So this is going to be 5,151 divided by 8. Redo that grump work. 5,151 divided by 8. 8 goes into 50. It goes into 51 6 times, which is 48 with 3 left over. Bring down the 5. 8 goes into 35 4 times, which is 4 times 8 is 32. 3 left over. Bring down the 1, and it goes into that 3 times, which is going to be 24 with 7 left over. So it should be 643 7/8. Let's see if we're going to be correct. So I'm going to put in now my 643, my fraction, 7 over 8, accept and check, and the answer is checks. I leave those mistakes in there just because I like y'all to see that yes, Mr. Reeds does make mistakes too, and I want you to understand how I go back and find my mistakes. And my mistake that I did right here when I went back and looked through it was that I only squared the numerator. I didn't square the denominator in my very first shape I was working with. Squirreled the whole problem on me. Now it's going to be your turn to go on and do the very last problem, which is going to be extra example 2. It's a little bit exciting, but it only deals with rectangular prisms. You've got 2 rectangular prisms here. I think you can probably do it, but you're going to have to cut this sucker up into a few pieces. Now before I get too far into this, I'm going to have to take and figure out how I'm actually going to cut it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by taking this rectangle, or this piece on this side right here, and I'm going to cut it into 2 separate rectangles. Now I know this rectangle has a base of 4 and a height of the same 1/3 that you see on that side, but I don't know how tall this piece is. To find out how tall this piece is, we're going to start off with some subtraction. I'm going to do 2 2/3 feet, which is the entire height, minus 1 1/3 feet, which is this height right here. And when you subtract that, 2/3 minus 1/3 is 1/3. 2 minus 1 is 1. So I know now that this section is 1/3 tall as well. I also need to know what this length is right here. I know that the entire length across here is 4, and I'm going to subtract from that this 2 2/3 that's right here. 2 2/3. I can change that to be 3 4/3 minus 2 2/3. 4/3 minus 2/3 is going to give me 2/3. I'm sorry, that should be 3/3, not 4/3. So that should be 3. So 3/3 minus 2/3. Let me erase that. That's going to end up being a 1/3 right there. And then 3 minus 2 is 1. So this distance across here is also going to be 1 1/3. And that gives me the information I need to get started. Okay, you can see I've laid out 8 formulas for areas of rectangles because there's 8 rectangles I've got to find the area of. So let's get started here with this very first rectangle on top. We're going to call this rectangle 1 right there. I'm going to put a 1 right there, and that's going to have dimensions of 2 2/3, and this way it's going to be the same as this, which is going to be 2 2/3 as well. So area is equal to 2 2/3 times 2 2/3. So that means area is equal to 3 times 2 is 6 plus 2 is going to be 8/3 times 8/3, which means the area is going to equal to 8 times 8 is 64 and 3 times 3 is 9, and we have our first rectangle. The next rectangle I'm going to do is this one, which is 1/3 by 2/3, which is the same as this one and that one. So I actually don't need to have as many as I thought, because that one, this one, and this one all are going to fall under rectangle 2 as being the same exact size. So I'm going to say area is equal to, I have 2 2/3 times 1 1/3, the dimensions of each one of those. Area is going to equal to, that's going to give me 8/3 times 4/3. So here area is going to equal to 32/9. But there's 3 of those. So let's go ahead and start putting down what we have. I've got 64/3. I'm sorry, this should be ninths right here. 64/9. So I'm going to put a 9 right here. Let's erase it and make it pretty. And I have 3 that are going to be 32/9. And now we're going to keep working. The next rectangle I'm going to do is going to be the bottom, and I'm going to call that bottom down here is rectangle 3. It's going to be 4 by 2 2/3. So area is equal to 4/1 times 2 2/3, which means it's going to equal to 4/1 times 8/3, which means it's going to equal to 32/3. Now I'm going to take that 32/3. I've got ninths so far. I'm hoping ninths can be my common denominator. So I'm just going to go ahead and convert that to be 96/9, and that's what I'm going to put right here, 96/9. And now I'm ready to go to the next rectangle. Now my next rectangle is with a back rectangle. We're going to call that rectangle 4. So I'm going to put a 4 right here. This one was going to be 3. So rectangle 4 is going to be, wait a minute. It's going to be a 2 2/3. It's the same exact as rectangle 1. It's 2 2/3 this way and 2 2/3 that way. So I'm going to scratch that out. I'm going to make that a rectangle 1 again, which means I can put 1's dimensions here, which is going to be 64/9. Now I've got 2 more rectangles to find, and we're going to call this one, this small rectangle on top, that's going to become my new rectangle 4. Alright, for that rectangle 4, I'm going to have a length of this, which is going to be 2 2/3. So I'm going to take and plug in my, here we go. Oh, come on, work right. Area is equal to 2 2/3 for the length, and the height is right here. That's going to be 1 1/3. And I'm thinking, hey, what do you know? I've done that size right there, 2 2/3 times 1 1/3. So that is actually going to become the same as rectangle 2. Now I need to keep in mind that that is also got a twin on the back. So I'm going to add 2 more of those, 32/9 plus 32/9. And now I have 1 more rectangle here, which we'll just call rectangle 5. And for that one, we have a total length of 4. So area is going to equal to 4 times, and a height of 1 1/3. 1 1/3. So area is going to equal to 4/1 times 3 times 1 plus 4 is 4/3, otherwise known as 16/3. But we need 9's for our least common denominators, so that's going to be the same thing as saying 3 times 16 is going to be 30 plus 24, 54/9. over 9. That is all the pieces we're going to need to add together to get to our final dimension. Now I'm going to grab a calculator and I'm going to add those up really carefully. So we'll clear everything out so we have a clean start. I have 64, which that wasn't careful, plus 32, plus 32, plus 32, plus 96, plus 64, plus 32, plus 32, plus 54. Fingers crossed we did our math right. We got 438 divided by 9. And now, last thing we have to do is we have to take and put that into a mixed number form. 438 divided by 9. 9 goes into that 4 times, which is 36 with 7 left over. 9 goes into 78 8 times, which is 72 with 6 left over. So your answer is going to be 48 6/9, also known as 48 2/3, which I'm going to circle. Oops, I left my 8 out of there. Now we're going to come back over here to our test problem, type in our answer we came up with, which is 48 fraction 2/3, accept, and check. Oh no, what did I do wrong? Well, I got a boo-boo. Let's find it. I know exactly where my boo-boo is. As soon as I stopped, I said, oh wait, that's it. This rectangle that we found last, it has a partner on the back. So I have to account for that partner, which means that we're going to have to take and include a whole nother 54 over 9. So we're going to take all of this stuff right here, and we're just going to delete it. We're going to take all of this stuff right here, and we're going to delete that too. And we're going to take that equal sign, and we're going to delete it too, because we have to add one more 54 over 9. Now we're ready to add them all up, so we're going to bring our calculator back up again. And when we do that, carefully, 64 plus 32 plus 32 plus 32 plus 96 plus 64 plus 32 plus 32 plus 54 plus 54 equals, that's going to give me 492 this time. 492 divided by 9, and that's still not going to be right, I don't think. Yes, it will. 492 divided by, put that in the wrong spot, divided by 9. 9 goes into 49 5 times. 5 times 9 is 45 with 4 left over. Bring down your 2. 9 goes into 42. That's going to be 4 times. 4 times 9 is 36 with 6 left over. And that means that my answer I'm going to have is going to become 54 2/6, also known as 54 1/3. Let's see if that's what they came up with. The textbook said 53 1/3. Somewhere I'm just a little bit off, but we're going to call that it for today because y'all have work to do. Y'all get started on your homework. I know this stuff's tough. Take your time, work through it. Don't get overwhelmed by it. I'll see you in class tomorrow.